Hi girls, good afternoon. I hope you all are well. Stay home, stay safe. Today our topic is a deadlock. I already discussed what the definition of the deadlock, but yeah, if you want, you can check my previous videos. Okay. Today we are going to discuss about what are the methods available in the deadlock. First, again we will say what is the definition and what is the concept of the deadlock. Suppose, for example, we can consider a situation like this. So there are two transactions are presented here. T1 is a one transaction, T2 is the another transaction. If you observe in this diagram, the T1 has already locked a particular data item R1. So T1 is working with the resource R1. You imagine that T1. So if you want, again I will try. T1 is already working with the resource called as a R1 and T2 is working with the R2. So these all are already locked by the resources of R1 by T1, resources of R2 by T2. But what happened after some time of situation, T1 needs R2. After time one situation, T2 needs R1, but T1 is already held by the R1. T2 is already held by the R2. Yesterday we discussed about the locking protocols. So T1 is already locked by R1, T2 is already locked by R2. When a particular transaction is holding a resource, no other transaction has to take until it should unlock. But here these two transactions not doing unlock. So what happened over there? T1 is waiting for the transaction T2 for release and T2 is waiting to release the T1. So both are waiting, so nobody will get the resource to use. If you observe, T1 is waiting for the T2 and T2 is waiting for the lock to T1. So this is the a situation will be called as a deadlock situation. So this is called as an where the deadlock, the what is the purpose of deadlock, what is the situation you can get the deadlock is like this. Okay, one resource is waiting for the another resource. No any transaction no other transaction will get the resource at last. So to overcome all this process, we are going to work out with it that there are three basic techniques exist to control the deadlock, so what are the deadlock prevention, deadlock avoidance and the deadlock detection. But in this video, in this session, we are going to discuss about only deadlock prevention. But these three techniques are all available. You may already learn in the operating system, but in the DBMS, in the transaction management system, we are going to learning about the deadlock prevention. And before moving to the deadlock prevention, actually, uh, suppose if you know that the deadlock is going to occur, you will take all kind of precautions. That's why we are using the deadlock prevention is nothing but we are taking an precaution never has to enter the deadlock for all kind of transactions. Okay, so what are the situations can arise and how to identify that particular situations where deadlock will come, how deadlock will occur in the database. So there are four necessary conditions, or we can also say there are four necessary situations where deadlock is going to occur. Clearly I'm mentioning that these are not the techniques to overcome, these are the conditions, these are the necessary condition how your deadlock is going to occur. So if like these situations are occur when you are doing a particular transactions between others, you can easily find out that yeah, it is going to attacked by the deadlock. So let me see what are the situations is going to occur to get the deadlock. Hold and wait is one kind of situation, no preemption, circular wait and the mutual exclusion. So this is a simple topic. Suppose I'm going to tell about the mutual exclusion. Mutual exclusion is nothing but it is going to tell by a transaction is held by how many resources, whether a transaction is holding only single resource or a transaction is holding the multiple resource. If a transaction is holding in a single resource, there is no problem, but if it is holding the multiple resource, it is going to be the to get the deadlock. So that is going to tell by the mutual exclusion. And the next topic and the next situation is the hold and wait. Suppose the same situation, say T1 is already held by the resource A, T2 is already held by the resource B, but these are not doing unlock, but they are still waiting for the resource B and T2 is waiting for the resource A. Either T1 has to release the lock or T2 has to release the lock. So what happened over, we are holding a particular resource. Suppose if you observe over there, T1 is already hold a resource called as A, but still it is waiting for the B. So until somebody has to release the lock, they have to hold and wait. That situation is called as hold and wait. And next, coming to the circular wait. Circular wait is nothing but, suppose if I'm taking in a multiple transactions, suppose my transactions are starting from T1, T0, T1, T2, T3 up to so on. If Tn minus 1 transactions are there, suppose if you get the cycle like this, T0 is waiting to T1 to release the lock, T1 is waiting to T2 to release the lock, like that it is going to continuously, it is going to go like this. At this, if the transactions are like this, everybody is waiting to release the lock. T1 is waiting to release the lock T2, and still for this T1 T0 is waiting. So here dependence is more, and simply they are making a cycle over here. That is called as your circular wait. This is the one kind of situation where we can occur the deadlock. And next one is the no preemption. No preemption is nothing but here we are not forcefully, we are not taking the resources. Here not forcibly, we are not taking the resources from the T2. Suppose if you are taking the resources forcefully, that is a preemption concept. If you are not taking the resources forcefully, that is a situation where no preemption. We are waiting, we are not taking. We are not taking after a particular timestamp is over. Still we are waiting. That is the no preemption. So these are the four necessary conditions where deadlock is going to occur. The today our main topic is going to discuss about the deadlock prevention. How to prevent the deadlock in the transaction management system. Okay, and the next we are moving to the transaction deadlock prevention. Okay, clear, girls? Once again, I want to tell, this is a definition I used to explain. These are the three methods, these are the three basic methods to overcome the problem of the deadlock, and these are the necessary conditions for the deadlock. In these three methods we are going to learn about the deadlock prevention. So once we will read this in points about the prevention. To prevent any deadlock situation, listen carefully. To prevent any deadlock situation in the system, the DBMS inspects the operations and analyzes if they can create a deadlock situation. Suppose to prevent any deadlock situation, first we have to analyze the in what way the deadlock is occurring, whether it is occurring a situation hold and wait, whether it is an occurring situation of the mutual exchange. First we have to analyze in what way the deadlock is going to come. That the DBMS has to inspect the operations and analyzes the if they can create the deadlock. If they are able to create the deadlock, first we have to check, and it is finds if suppose when you are checking you got the answer called as in a deadlock is going to occur, what we have to do? If it is finds that the deadlock situation might occur, then the transaction is never allowed to be executed. Suppose you might find out that the deadlock is going to occur in between those transactions, you cannot allow those transactions to use or access your database. You have to stop that particular transactions to enter into the database. And what prevention topic is going to tell nothing but it ensures that the system will never enter in a deadlock state, because it's before starting the before accessing the data, before executing the data only, we are going to check, we are checking that whether there is any possible situation where we can enter the deadlock or not. So by this way we can ensure that the system will never enter the deadlock. And by using this deadlock prevention technique, we can 100% sure we can say we can violate the hold and wait situation. You can violate the no preemption and the no circular wait, nothing but no cycle. Okay, clear? And what are the basic concepts we are using in the deadlock prevention? So we are using the two kinds of techniques over there in the deadlock prevention. First one is the wait and die, and next one is the bond and wait. So these are the main two techniques. By these techniques you can we can analyze that whether the transactions are might be going to occur as in a deadlock or not. And if the deadlock situation will occur, what kind of steps we have to take, it is going to tell by the wait and die and bond and wait. Okay, suppose you imagine that there are two transactions over there, Ti and the Tj. There are two transactions are available, Ti and the Tj. Tj is already held by the queue, but what happened over here, Ti needs K, but it is not possible because until Tj has to release the lock by the queue, until TJ has to release the lock by queue, then only TA has to take. But wait, when it is coming to the wait and die section, so the TA has to know that whether it should have to wait some time to get the resource queue, or it can continue with the work of others work. So the TA has to know whether it should have to wait or not, or if TA wants to wait, how much time it has to wait. So this must be known by the TU. Okay, suppose if you see there are two situations occur. If so I already discussed nothing but timestamp is nothing but suppose any transaction is executing a particular data in database. What happens is nothing but it we are going to allocate a particular time to a particular transaction. That the time period is called as a timestamp of the timestamp. So T1 TI will get particular timestamp, TJ will get the particular timestamp. So if you observe the timestamp of TI is less than timestamp of TJ, because if the situation is like this, you know that TJ is already held by the queue, TI is a new one, is it's want to get the resource queue. Suppose the timestamp of TI is less than the timestamp of TJ. At the situation it's occur like this. At that time the TI must wait until the TJ has to release the lock. Okay, when the time is less than, suppose this is a 4 seconds, or this is suppose this is a 5 seconds, 4 is less than 5 seconds, then TI must wait because TI is the older. Okay, clear all of you. And next, the situation, the timestamp of TI, it might be greater sometimes. Suppose this is a 10 seconds, this is the 2 seconds. At that time what happened, the TI has to roll back. The ta has to the ta has to roll back. Why we have to roll back, nothing but when it is roll back again, it will get the chance to come again in that will be in the queue. If it is not roll back, until it has to be wait until the time has to complete over there. Clear all of you. So that's why the TI is has to roll back. There are two situations. If it is less than, the TI must wait. If it is greater than, the TI has to roll back. This is the concept. Either there's two situations. If you first concept is the less than concept is for the wait, and it's the greater than concept is for the die. If you die, nothing but you can do the rollback again, you can get the chance to come and sit in the queue. And next concept is a wound and wait. Here also same situation I am taking. Okay, and it is a wound and wait. Here wait, here die concept will not be there. If timestamp of TI is greater than the timestamp of TJ, then TI can exist, the TI is continue with the work. Okay, and if the situation is like this, the timestamp of TI is less than that the timestamp of TJ, then TJ will has to the roll back over there. Clear all of you. This is a preemptive technique, this is a non-preemptive technique. In the preemptive technique, what happened over there, we are taking the we are taking the data from the other transactions. We are not taking, we are waiting, either we are dying. Here we are asking to wait, we are asking to roll back. So this is a non-preemptive technique, we can consider as this is a preemptive technique. These are the two situations you can arise with your deadlocks. So before entering into the execution of the day, before executing the data in the database, first if you check with all these conditions, you can easily get that who has to wait and who has to do rollback. So by this you can reduce the difficulty to occur the deadlock, and you can reduce the your time lapse also. Suppose if you want to wait a particular wait of time at the in that period, in the middle of that period, you can work with the other transactions. So what happened over, you are the transactions who are waiting for the resource, those transactions can get to know that how much time they want to wait, and what kind of resources for they have to wait, and whether they have to wait or they have to do rollback. So this entire clarity is going to given by all, wait and die and want and wait. Okay, clear girls. And the next topic we are moving on to, in the next topic we are moving on to, it is the most important techniques. Is the most important techniques and easy to learn. That is optimistic concurrency control technique, or we can also call as a validation based protocols. Okay, so till now we already discussed what are the techniques are available with your background, the types of lock, shared and binary lock. So and the next time stamping protocols also. So what happen when you are working with the locking protocols and when you are working with the time stamping protocols?